And welcome back to the Dungeons of Chaos playthrough. In the last two segments, we found the orc warlord, dispatched him, and then quickly tucked tail and ran out the tunnel. And then we actually discussed reviving the character very crudely with the heal spell. And then I just kind of ran across the map, got back to the settlement here. So we're going to go ahead and turn in the smuggler's request to kill that orc warlord and continue on searching for the orb to be able to open up the blue portal and teleport back to the castle of Lord Aldrich. Let's go ahead and speak with Tenta here. He says, huh? We have the quest reward. Now we received a new quest, Satchel. So let's go ahead and talk to him. Now Zolon has been waiting to get his hands for it a long time. He will help you get the orb in return. If you mention to him, you can find him in the north here at the coast. And he's a quiet little fellow. Now, if you're off and about exploring yourself and you run into Zolon, he's going to ignore you. He's actually just farming, which is funny because I'll show you when we get up there. But with that quest turn in, we did level up. So let's go ahead and crank out this level here. Oh, I forgot to stop. That was a 1% critical chance increase. That's kind of unique to the rogues here. He's at 7%, so he has a 7% to do max damage, a little bit more than max damage. That's going to get huge later on. And let's continue our level here. Extra talent point, always lovely. Good for spellcasters, excellent for spellcasters. A huge mana boost for our mage. And cleric, he's getting more talent points also, which is going to be handy here. Now, since we are in town, we do have trainers that we can train with. One in particular is Ferric. We're going to go ahead and give our fighter the sprint skill. I'm just going to leave it at one, and he's going to have the proficiency of 4. He's actually the level let up ourselves, and I keep referring to our fighter as a he, and I have it as a female character. I apologize if that's offending anybody. Now, lockpick. Lockpick is a party skill. So, the more that everybody has it trained, the more proficient the party is overall. So, I'm going to throw a point into everybody, except for the cleric. The cleric, you can't train a cleric to pick a lock. But that will be okay. The same way with sneaking. Now, sneaking is handy later on. I'll highlight this once we get into the chaos after we find the orb. That gets a little scary, and it is handy. And again, our rogue is most proficient on this. And again, you just got to have a couple of points into everything. Not to say everything, but the communal skills like sneaking and lockpicking always helps. And there are a couple of other people here that we can train from. One in particular is that I have a nice little handy skill that we mentioned earlier, and it's going to be our monk here. He trains nimble. Now, as the skill says, that it lowers the negative impact of being flanked. So when our fighter or rogue or, well, maybe not our ranger gets flanked, it's not going to be that much of a decrease. And that will be a passive improvement also. Another excellent skill that we don't have that we will use when we go take care of that undead wizard to get Holy Chant back. Nobody else can train that except for the cleric, or if you have a monk in your party, you rolled the party and didn't go with default, you'll have a monk. You could have him with that exorcism skill also. And we do have another person that we can train a little bit with. Let's come down here to our range. Now, I normally don't like increasing weapon proficiencies, mainly because they get increased automatically by use. And so it's not a good thing to waste. But if you notice, proficiency is right on that cusp of getting a new level here. We have 4 talent points to spend, so let's go ahead and get that talent points. And another one here, it's another communal skill, and that's not proficiency, perception. Now, the more perception that all your team members have, the more you're going to be finding secret loot, hidden passages, and the better Wizard's Eye becomes. Now, we don't have talent points for our Ranger or our Fighter anymore, but we do have a couple with our casters. But we're going to stick a little bit of proficiency with all these guys and keep that going. Now again, the cumulative skills, if you kind of spread them out evenly, you don't have to saturate points into one character or another. And that's going to actually benefit us in the long run, because I will later on show you a little bit of a secret if we run into a snag with a door or some passages that you can kind of break the game. And we've already talked to him. Alright, so nothing else much to do in the town except for we have quite a bit of loot on us. So let's go ahead and off this with Arctic. Let's go ahead and sort. He should be able to identify. He's got 22 items that he can identify. Let's go ahead and do that. 171 items, 3,000 gold. Let's not quite do that. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we can actually benefit from. Now granted, we don't have anybody using daggers or short swords, so let's just go ahead and wipe these out here and not worry about them. And that's just kind of a preference. If you want to run a dagger on a mage or a short sword on a rug and get them up in the melee distance, that is fine. To me, my personal preference is a long sword or a two-handed sword or a range fighter, especially with rogues. And you can always find really good staffs for your casters, especially that increase mana regen, health, and some other nice abilities that kind of supplement them. And now we're into the two-handed weapons that we would normally use with our shield. So let's go ahead and just kind of quickly go through here. Now we're looking at something that's going to be what we currently have. So slice damage higher than 50, 1 to 50, force damage higher than 1 to 12. And we can just kind of quickly scan through this. And again, you don't need to spend a lot of time here. I have talked to a couple of people that said, you know, equip most efficient or optimize on it. Now that's another thing that you get into some coding agendas that just doesn't really benefit the game in the long run, and kind of bogs down development. If you notice, we did find this iron broadsword, one-handed, 1 to 59, force 1 to 13. That is just a little bit better, so let's go ahead and just equip that on there. And then we got a two-handed sword. Not quite ready to switch that over to a two-handed sword for our fighter. We might if we find something that is substantial, but right now, so the lower stages, I like to focus kind of on defense and survivability. Doesn't look like we got much of a mace here. Now, a couple of these maces and flails do have some nice damage output and a bit of a speed increase. But again, you get into a situation where if we compare, now at this moment our skill difference isn't that much, so we could opt to use a one-handed blunt and do the 1 to 95 and have a larger average damage, but we miss out on that bleeding, and damage over time adds up pretty quickly. So let's go ahead and leave this on a slice here. And here's what I was talking about with the staffs. We're getting into some of these. These are kind of default damage, stun, and armor increases. Now, this is a nice little beauty that has damage to undead. Now, since we have undead in our horizon, and our most durable staff user is going to be our druid, let's go ahead and throw that on him. Alright, and this has a little bit of magic damage, and magic damage does affect undead, and that's going to be kind of an unsaturated damage. But let's leave that one alone. We can sell that one. We got some big hammers that we might opt for a little bit later, like these two. I'm going to throw one of these in my stash just to keep for my fighter. And of course, if we wanted to send some of these guys to range, we possibly could, especially with the druid, but we lack the dex, but we're not going to soak points into that just yet. Now we do have some items here. It looks like our rogue is still 1 point of strength out, and we need 3 and we have 2. So I tell you what, while we're out and about running around, these two are going to be about the same. Let's throw one in the stash. So for right now, we're at 0 to 60 on piercing. Let's see if we have something that is a little better. 1 to 75, 1 to 75. So 1 to 75 is going to be our go-to here. So let's go ahead and swap that out. And keep moving. He's wearing armor, so we're not going to switch that out. Unless we have better armor for him. 12, 7, 3. Nope, looks like that's going to be it. Now, we can opt for a little bit better armor if we had the strength on it. But again, it's not going to be high enough armor than what we have right now, so we're not going to worry about that too much. I think everybody has a cape, except for the druid, of course. Again, I'm just throwing out defense. Let's throw that on him. A couple of these guys can't wear boots just yet, or gloves. Druid, of course, he has a little bit of armor. So let's throw those on. He's got those boots. 331. That could be increased. Stops critical hits. Can you wear boots? Yeah, let's go ahead and throw a little bit harder boots on these guys. Give them a little bit of better defense. And quickly browse through. A defense critical hit. This ring is that it goes straight to our fighter. It buffs him up just a little bit. Keeps him alive. That way he's not being crit hit. And these are the items that we swapped out before. So now this is when we're going to go back to that shop, flip special, and send everything that was in the inventory out. Now we still have the couple of items that we are reserving in our stash. And let's go speak with Zalon and find out what we can do to find that orb. Now Tinty said he's up on the coast to the north, so let's follow the path north. He is a fair ways away, if I remember correctly. And of course they are loggers, so we got a little bit of clear cutting out here. Hopefully they're making good business. And we have Zalon. Alright, he's a hermit, hums to himself, doesn't talk. And he's just minding his veggie patch. And he still hums. Alright. Now, if we jump back, we talk to him about a satchel. Now, Tinty was supposed to get him a satchel. Got him a satchel. And Zalon, as a wise veggie farmer, paid him in vegetables. He didn't think about it. Alright, now it looks like he knows where to find an orb, and we have to go seek the flame. It's literally a living flame. A fire elemental that left its planar home. Nice chap, not very talkative. Yeah, I know. Look who's talking. Oops, double irony. That is pretty funny. Alright, so he's in the lava caves. Lava caves are southwest of the island. in a volcano. Now the flame is probably way at the bottom of the cave, so it's quite a journey to get there. Alright, so we have another journey on our way going to the southwest volcano. So let's just go ahead and get out here. We'll start that journey in the next portion here, and I do want to thank you for joining us through this playthrough of Dungeons of Chaos. Now if you like it so far, go ahead and put a like and a share there. Spread the Dungeons of Chaos community goodness. Again, talk it with your friends, family, anybody who might be interested in a retro-styled 2D RPG that is very reminiscent of Ultima 4 and 5 and some other very nice RPGs that just give you a fit of nostalgia. And again, join us in the next part. We're looking for the flame.